How do you pronounce your last name, Carl?
Tie crib.
Ty what?
Tie crib, like a tie in a crib.
A tie in a crib. Carl Tie Crib. Okay.
You nailed her.
Yeah, folks, we're here today. We're in California, and we're sitting here. We're actually at the Hear the Watchman conference, so we're taking a break in between speakers and what have you. And we have Carl Tie Crib with us. And Carl, you're from Canada.
That's right.
And you're a researcher. You're an author. Are you a filmmaker also?
No. A troublemaker sometimes.
I mean, I think that. Okay, so recently we had a great conversation our night at dinner.
Yes.
And you've been to the Burning Man events that take place in Nevada, and I think you've been to 3 of them.
That's right.
And you go as a I take it as a researcher. You're studying what goes on. Who are the people? Can you tell us a little bit about what actually is Burning Man event?
Certainly. Burning Man is a gathering. It's a gathering. It's a city. The city is called Black Rock City because it's held in the Black Rock Desert. And it's, first of all, the environment, the physical environment of the place itself is remarkable. It's a flat alkali lake bed that's dried up in the summertime. So it's on that lake bed that the city is erected. And it's all temporary. Roughly 75 to 80,000 people arrive, and over the course of a few weeks, build this very remarkable city. And it is a city. It has streets. It has a grid system.
Do they build it each time?
Yes, every time.
They build the streets. They build the
everything.
Okay, continue.
Everything is built and tore down, and then rebuilt and tore down, rebuilt and tore down. The city's been constructed. Well, golly, really since 1990. The event itself started in 1986, but the city aspect of it has it's been constructed and built and torn down.
How many
now,
people come to this event?
Roughly 80,000 now.
I mean, it just in the middle of the desert.
Right. It's a harsh alkali lake bed, and so you have dust storms, not sandstorms, dust storms with alkali dust, where you or I could not sometimes see each other, even though we're sitting this close together, because the alkali dust is so thick. And I mean, it's a very harsh environment. So yes, 80,000 people gather, build a city. The city is Black Rock City. And then in the space of roughly 8 days, it is an experiment in living. It's an experiment in creating a new civilization. It's an experiment in spirituality. It's an experiment in new social designs, creativity, networking. Everybody thinks about it as a big party, and that's what you see, and of course that's what's played up. And it is. There is a party. There is no question. It is a massive party. In terms of the lighting and the art and what you see, it's truly a spectacle. It is a remarkable place. But what's really going on, besides just the party, is it is a place where social engineers come, they network, they hold workshops. It doesn't mean that the workshops are massive workshops. Sometimes some of the workshops have sat in 6, 8 people. Some of them have been 50, some of them 100 people. And it is a place where you do intersect and interconnect with these individuals who are game changers in their various fields. So that includes some of the leading figures in cryptocurrency. A lot of talk on cryptocurrency.
Wow.
A lot of talk on the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals.
Wow, that's the 2030 agenda.
That's right. In fact, this year, myself and the rest of my team, we sat in on a very interactive workshop on the Sustainable Development Goals, the 2030 agenda, and these were major game changers. One of them was I can't remember the gentleman's name, but he's one of the young business leaders that have been recognized by the World Economic Forum as kind of literally a global leader, the new global leaders.
So you have these economic leaders talking about cryptocurrencies, talking about world economies, talking about national, global, because you have different schools of thought, and I'm sure what's going on there is a lot of socialism conversation of how to disperse the wealth to create a whole new utopia of society.
Everything is being talked about. You have libertarians who attend because there is a very strong libertarian element, especially on the morality side of it, because it is a morally, how do I say this? it pushes the boundaries.
I would say it pushes,
it
but
really
the book you
pushes
show me,
the boundaries. Yes.
The book you showed
Yeah,
me
the Where,
other
What, When
night.
guide. Yes.
Yeah, that's the actual.
This is the agenda for the week.
Okay, so when I read that, you handed it to me, and I started thumbing through there. What was events going on in different? I take it those are tents or
it could be tents, buildings, some
different locations.
Some of them might be held in an example, Camp Mystic, which is a big tent that's as large as the courtyard we're in here. It's a 2-story structure. It has infrastructure. It has kitchens.
This is all built in 3 weeks.
That's right. Yes. Or some of the workshops might be held in Playa Alchemist, which is a large alchemy camp with a 7-story tall replica of the Pyramid of Giza set up on site.
So you talk about the morality side of it and the sexuality of it.
Yes, it is sexually charged.
There's no
Very
question about
sexually
that.
charged.
And I'm reading that and I'm thinking, whoa, all these different events that anyone that attends there can interact and be involved in different types of sexual experiments and different things.
And that's why you, as a Christian, when you go, you draw a line in the sand.
Right.
And you know what
you know what you're there. You know what's going on. You've got the information.
Right.
And you're looking at this from a bigger picture.
Because
saying,
it is a bigger picture.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's economic discussion, sexual experimenting, a different social structure.
A whole different social
Are they trying to create
construct.
a utopia mentality, or is this an experiment for a whole world change?
Oh no! It's recognized that what happens at the burn infuses itself into the cracks and pores of civilization.
They take this back.
That's right. You take it back. So some of the people, I mean, I'm going to back up just 2 seconds here. A lot of people think Burning Man is just a bunch of hippies.
Right.
It's a naked orgy in the desert. Yes, there's an orgy dome. Yes, there's all kinds of sexual stuff happening.
Right.
Lots. I have never met any hippies there. Okay.
Okay.
I've met your neighbors. I've met your kids. I've even met maybe your grandma, because there's elderly people out there. There's children out there.
Right.
But I've met a lot, and I mean a lot of game-changing individuals, people involved in
government officials.
Oh yeah, in fact, this time when I went, I spent 2 hours with, had a great discussion for 2 hours with the European Union liaison officer to the U.S. federal government.
Wow.
Okay, we had the World Bank's one of their leading economists, a Nobel Prize winning economist, spent the week at Burning Man to see how does Burning Man now integrate into the concept of a global city.
See, people don't know this is happening.
We had 52 mayors from the U.S. Conference of Mayors visit Burning Man this year.
52 mayors.
That's right, so they could take home back to their cities the lessons learned from Burning Man.
Right.
There were 4 congressmen that we knew of who are in attendance at the burn this year, literally just investigating the city to see
what's going on.
Right, to see, and they were working with the organizers of the event to see, okay, now how does Burning Man, what kind of a footprint does this have in terms of its social and cultural importance? Listen, 2018, Smithsonian held a large exhibition of Burning Man art and Burning Man artifacts. In fact, the Smithsonian dedicated this entire Renwick Gallery to Burning Man.
Wow.
This year, this summer,
alone.
This summer, I went to the Cincinnati Art Museum, which dedicated a large section of its space to Burning Man art.
Wow. So there's a lot of art there then, too.
Oh, it's tons of art. Hundreds of pieces of art.
And we're talking
massive pieces of art, okay? Some of these are 5-6 story tall pieces of art.
Wow.
Nothing. This is not small.
So 3 weeks they throw this thing together.
Right.
There must be a conversion of people, thousands who come to start building these structures.
Absolutely.
And they do this every year.
That's right.
Is there a leader of the Burning Man?
There's an organization.
Yeah.
This is what makes it unique. It's a do-it-yourself event. Okay, I've been to probably 35, 40, I've got to sit down and do some counting, different world events, okay? Everything from the Parliament of World Religions, I've been to the United Nations. I'm not saying I've just gone to visit. I've been involved in events, all right?
Right.
I've seen the political, the economic, the religious side of globalism, and there's always agendas when you go to those kinds of events. It's suits, it's ties.
Right.
There's structures.
Right.
It's a closed environment.
Yes.
Burning Man is unique in that it's exploring globalization and it's exploring the transformation of society in a sense where it's open sourced.
Yeah.
They're all doing it instead of a closed source system
It's
like
open.
the United Nations. It's an open
But you
source.
do have to get a ticket to get in.
You do have to get a ticket, and there's a lot of work involved in going, but everybody is there doing it on their own.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it unique. So you
Yeah.
walk around and somebody's handing out. I had a little kid that gave me a hammer and sickle sticker. We went to a workshop.
Communist.
I know, exactly.
Okay.
We went to a workshop where Marianne Goodell, who is the CEO of Burning Man, was talking about how her conservative background allows, and she brought it up. She brought up her personal background, how she was born and raised in a conservative Roman Catholic family.
Right.
And one of the questions that came up in the workshop was, and it was snicker, ha ha ha, you have a conservative background. Is there anything that from that background that you've brought to Burning Man to benefit Burning Man? Ha ha ha, because everybody was like, yeah, right, whatever. She's like, hold on, yes, absolutely. I run this on a conservative fiscal platform.
Wow.
We have money in the bank. Every year it's paid for. If it wasn't, and this is me paraphrasing her, if it wasn't for my conservative fiscal background, we wouldn't be seeing this operation continue.
Right. So, okay, now let's...
Which was jaw-dropping for a lot of people because they're like, well, how do I justify this now? On the one hand, it's the conservative fiscal background allowing this libertarian / socialist / whatever you make it happen.
Now, on a spiritual standpoint,
yeah.
Okay. Now, when people see the Burning Man, they think of the Bohemian Grove a little bit, the burning of effigies. They know there's a lot of pagan gatherings and groups worldwide that get together and do certain rituals. But this is a huge ritual when they burn the Burning Man. As a matter of fact, I remember seeing the highlights of the man that ran and jumped in. You were there.
I was there. Yep.
Seen it happen.
Yeah. I didn't see him actually run into the flames, but I was
But you were there.
I was there. I was just on the other side of where he ran into it.
So this is the main event.
Yep.
Above all the events.
That's right.
This is what. So on a spiritual standpoint, we're talking about different types of religions are there.
Right.
And you're a Christian and you were there, but I don't know if Christians are really that much represented. No. You were there more as a Christian investigator.
We're mocked. Christianity,
we're mocked, aren't we?
Christianity is mocked. Every other religion is open and accepted, it seems, but Christianity is very specifically mocked. We set up
openly.
Very openly.
Yes.
Very openly. We set up, our camp sets up a sign, and the sign reads, Camp of the Unknown God. And we pull that out of Acts 17 and use that as our model or as our launching pad to talk about the gospel. We do bring that in.
Paul was in Athens, Greece, and he says, you men and brethren, I perceive you are too superstitious. Like he said, for you worship an unknown God.
Right.
And he starts the dialogue about how to bring them into knowledge of Jesus Christ.
Right.
So you use that same sign.
That same principle.
So when they see that, they say, oh, what's that? And they come in.
Right.
And you start the process of talking to them.
Right,
engaging.
right. Or when we interact with them out on the desert, somewhere looking at an art piece, somebody will say, where are you from? Now, in that culture, they're not referring to where do you live. I'm from Canada.
Right.
Eventually you'll talk about, hey, I come from Canada, blah, blah, blah.
But that ain't what they mean when they say, where are you from?
Where are you from? That means where are you on the city grid? What camp are you with in Burning Man?
And this is a new world. When you walk into this 3 weeks, it's a new world experience.
Absolutely it is. It's completely immersive.
Do you see this as a part of what they hope to achieve, let's say from an Antichrist standpoint? Do you think this is where they want to go as a global world society?
Well,
no more wars, no more.
Right. It definitely fits into the utopian thinking of let's transform society. Oh, it definitely fits into that aspect. Really, it's a reflection of where our culture already is. That's what's really interesting about Burning Man. It's both a reflection of where our culture is, and it's also a culture changer. Yeah, it's a place where it reflects the culture, refines it, works it through, even transgresses it, and then repackages and allows you now to take that experience home into your own community.
Take it back to where you live and see if you can bring that mentality or or thought process.
Yes.
Are they looking to continue to grow the
They are
Burning
growing.
Man?
They are growing
to larger than 80,000. They want to go to 100,000.
They would love to. They have a permitting process because it's on federal land. They have a permit.
It's on federal land.
Yes, right.
So
BLM,
so they have
BLM
to get a
land.
permit to do this whole
Yes,
thing?
absolutely.
But the environment's harsh. The wind's blowing.
Right.
Sand's in your eyes.
Listen, demand far outstrips supply. Okay, this is a really difficult event to get tickets to. You have no idea how many hundreds of hours of prep it honestly takes to get into it.
So when
and
people
to be
come,
there.
they come what? And drive in their RVs? What are they doing?
Yep,
Driving their car, a van?
bringing in RVs. I come in with my SUV. I went first year with a pickup truck. Had all my camping gear in my pickup truck. I hit a deer in Idaho. Totaled my truck. I totaled the deer, and the deer totaled my truck. Mutual assured destruction, and.
That's a great start to your first Burning Man
It
experience.
really was.
That should have been your first omen, your first sign from God. You just want to know you're entering the. This is a sign, Carl.
It was intense. It was really intense.
Okay, so now.
So I had to rent a vehicle. I drove in.
Have you written a book on this at all?
Yeah, actually, my book, Game of Gods.
Game of Gods, which you have right now, which I haven't had a chance to read because I'm here.
Right.
But
Game of Gods, the Temple of Man in the Age of Reenchantment is Temple of Man in the Age of Reenchantment is the subtitle. What is interesting is Burning Man in 2017, and this is one of the reasons why I knew I needed to go in 2017, because the man effigy was placed in his own temple in 2017.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
Is that the year the man ran in?
That's the year that the gentleman ran into the fire.
Do you think this heightened? Do you feel a spiritual, some type of? Do you feel a demonic heightment of the energy? What do you feel?
That's an interesting question, Paul, because I've been to Wiccan events.
Yep.
I've been to pagan events of all kinds. I don't feel a sense of,
because it doesn't affect you like
not
as a believer.
Right. There are people who I've interacted with. There's people who've come to the burn with me, they feel oppressed. I've never personally have had that feeling, and I've asked the question, and I've had to ask the question a lot in the last couple of years. Can you give me a biblical description of how we're supposed to feel?
I don't think I can give you a no.
How did Paul interact with?
He walked right into the
bingo.
temples of God, of idol gods. I mean,
yes.
The very scripture you're talking about in Acts.
Yes.
For 2 years, Paul and his disciples went into the school of Tyrannus for 2 years and debated with the pagan worshiping priests.
Right. It was there.
Convincing them about Jesus Christ.
They confronted it. They dealt with it.
Elijah walks up on Mount Carmel with 450 prophets of Baal and holds a contest of prayer, of fire.
Right.
So that's your point is, you go in there.
And you may be uncomfortable.
Yeah, well, you're going to be, because you see everything.
You may be uncomfortable.
Okay, but at the same time, you have a goal.
Right, you do.
And you're also covered in the blood of Christ. You come in there, you know who you are in Christ, and you're doing you're bringing the info to the world. The name of your book is
Game of Gods.
Game of Gods. You can get people can get it on Amazon.com.
Correct. Right.
Game of Gods, folks. I'll put the link here in this Patreon video for people so they'll know where to find your book. Okay.
Cool. Thank you.
And so now you see everything, you experience everything, and let's talk about it just for a couple more minutes here on a global. Okay, they come from all over the world. Every nation of the world's there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It is very much an international event. A couple of things that your viewers need to understand if they don't know anything about this culture at all, or specifically this event. At the end of the week, the man is burnt. This massive human effigy is burnt.
That's the climax.
That's right, and it is a party. I mean, you have fire spinners, you have fire priests, you've got fireworks going off. It is a spectacle. It truly is a spectacle.
Yes.
And then something I did not mention is that not far away from the man is their temple, and they have a large temple structure.
Now, who's the temple for?
The temple is for people, a place for them to grieve, a place for them to look for healing. The temple starts off as a massive, and I mean, these are massive structures, okay? Massive structures. Like last year's was 65 feet tall, 250 feet wide, and it was shaped like a giant spiral into the sky.
Okay.
All right. And so the temple begins as a blank slate. The walls are bare, but by the end of the week, the walls are full of pictures of loved ones who have been deceased.
Wow.
Poems, people writing on the walls. I mean, there's thousands of notes all over. The walls are literally loaded with personal mementos.
A lot of hurting people.
Oh,
a lot of grieving
and the
people.
place is quiet.
Yeah.
All week. It's a complete contrast from the party side of it.
Yeah.
It's a place of quiet, weeping all week. It's heavy, it's deep, it's hurtful.
Yeah.
And people are looking for some type of solace, some type of
So
healing.
would you say that the people come here looking for a lot of things, but ultimately are looking for some kind of peace in their heart, their
Absolutely.
life?
Yep.
And if they only knew that what the peace that Jesus Christ could give them.
Exactly.
And you're there and you're observing, you're researching, you're writing, you're letting us all know what's going on, but at the same time you're also ministering there with your team.
Right.
And no doubt you're able to make a difference. There's some folks you can talk to that you find that pain, don't you?
Oh yeah, and here's the side of it that is actually kind of almost more exciting. The very fact that we've gone, and this is our 3rd year we've done this as a small team, and we want to continue doing it. What has been really encouraging and exciting is the people coming forward, and it's happened already at this conference at least a couple of times, people saying, "You're the guy that goes to Burning Man. Do you realize that has inspired me to try to reach out in my own community?"
Right.
Like, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
so in other
that's
words,
great.
We can approach people. We need to approach people.
Right.
On a spiritual, intellectual
Listen, Paul,
basis.
and you know this. Your listeners know this. The world is becoming increasingly paganized. Okay?
Yes.
And Christians have a fear of that.
Yes.
I was at a witchcraft conference this March. I had embedded myself with 800 witches for the space of 3 days to listen to their workshops, observe rituals,
right,
interact with these people. Okay, I mean that's what I do. I'm
that's
a researcher.
what you do. I know.
I'm a researcher. One of the things that happened afterwards, I had so many people come up and say, "Aren't you afraid? Aren't you scared? Uncomfortable?" Absolutely.
Yes.
There are times when you're uncomfortable. But listen, and this is important for all of Christians to wrestle through. We bow to our Lord in love now.
Yes.
But everybody else and all entities will be bowing to our Lord in judgment.
Yes. All knees will bow.
All knees will bow.
You can even do it now as a loving...
So why are we afraid?
We shouldn't be. If you have that, if we understand
we really understand that, why are we afraid?
Then there's no reason.
Right.
We have the Lord.
Right.
He is the God, and all people will bow to Him, whether they do it willingly with love or with recognition of the judgment of their sin.
Exactly.
We have nothing to fear.
Right.
And with that, Carl, thank you for coming on, being with us on this really a great interview.
Hey, thank you, Paul.
Again, the name of your book is
Game of Gods.
Game of Gods.
The Temple of Man and the Age of Reenchantment.
3 different books. Temple of Man.
No. Yeah.
Oh, that's all one book.
Yep. The Game of
Well,
Gods.
it's so thick. No wonder.
It is very thick. It really is.
Great. I mean, you really, folks. Seriously, I have not read his book. I just got it, but I just started thumbing through it and started just stopping and reading a page here and there. And every page I stopped, I wanted to just keep going. So it was like, this book is filled with dynamic research and information which I need to consume to understand the big picture of what I'm dealing with. I would never get that if it wasn't guys like you.
Well, it's first source. This is why
first source.
This is why a few of us need to engage in first source work. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Carl, for being with us.
Thank you, Paul.
All right. Folks, thank you guys for joining me here on Patreon. God bless.